when you use blood, it's a sign of power, because likely you killed somebody, you want to fight if it's somebody else's blood, and then nature rewards you. Similar to how people used to drink the semen of somebody they killed, the warriors, because they usually had an erection from the excitement, testosterone. Nowadays you would have to pay somebody $1,000 to do that. That's how twisted things have gotten.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this new video I want to put a spotlight on one of the most disturbing people that I have ever heard about. He's eating raw meat, sometimes rotten meat, and he's being accused of stabbing 4 of his classmates when he was 16. Oh, and let's not forget about his weird takes on murder, rape and cannibalism. So, you see, we have a lot to dig into. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe and leave me a comment, I would really appreciate that. But for now, let's meet Sv3rige. Sv3rige was born on the 27th of November 1998 in Latvia, and his real name is Goatis. I'm sure I slaughtered that name, so sorry for that. Unfortunately, we don't know much about his early life, but from one of his oldest videos we know that he lived in Latvia until he became 18, then moved to England for 2 years until he would settle in Berlin, Germany. He was an old school RuneScape player and started his YouTube career talking about movies, music and many conspiracy theories about the New World Order and the Illuminati. It didn't take long for him to get into more touchy subjects. In 2014 he uploaded a video where he talked about rape and shared a story of him touching a sleeping girl's genitals when he was 16.
I remember when I was 16, I tried to touch a girl's genitals, her breasts, her face and her whole body when she was asleep, and she was drunk, I was drunk, and that was when I went after these physical ideas. And of course she felt horrible. The next morning she found out because somebody told her about it. So I can in a way relate to it, or at least have some kind of experience when it comes to this.
Besides his thoughts on various conspiracies, this is the first red flag about him doing something harmful to another human. Roughly a year later he discovered a new hobby for himself: Sungazing. Which means he would start staring at the sun for longer periods of time in order to fill himself up with energy on his path to awakening. Obviously, this isn't really a good idea if you value your eyesight, so please don't try this yourself. While it might be enjoyable to watch the sunset every now and then, gazing at the sun for hours will definitely damage your eyes.
It's about as noon as it can get at this time of the year.
For Sv3rige, it took around 1.5 years, several videos and hours of sun gazing for him to realize how harmful it is. He ate less and less, and sometimes only drank water for days, which made his body become more fragile until he had to stay in a hospital for weeks and ended up in a German psychiatry for 7 weeks. So he made a video about it.
And I wasn't able to eat anymore. It just felt better not to eat. And a month went on with only water, and I was getting a lot weaker. And you can see the videos of March, April, and pure sun gazing all the time. And just, even though I almost died, that's what the doctor said, I definitely don't regret it. Some woman saw me and she said, do you need like help? Because I just couldn't really even walk anymore. My muscles had died off, everything. The body was not working. They checked out that I had 400 milliliters of water around my heart, and they did a surgery, took out the water, and I was in the intensive care for 9 days. then the judge decided that I should be brought to the psychiatry, and that's where I was for 7 weeks. So I was pretty much over 2 months in the hospital.
As you can probably guess, this whole incident had a huge impact on him and turned him towards a keto diet, and he made several videos about it as well. While I'm not an expert on this topic at all, according to several comments under his videos, he had no idea what he was doing and basically destroyed most nutrients in his meals. Following to this incident, where he spent a lot of time in a hospital and in psychiatry, he wanted to change his eating behaviors. But sadly, he was now starting to eat raw meat and eggs. So he started feeling a little bit better, but that was only in contrast to staring at the sun, only drinking water, and fasting for weeks at a time. He immediately went completely overboard with it, as he was also trying to eat bone marrow, which poisoned his body once again. Take a look.
Watch out if you eat bone marrow, because I got food poisoning from it. What happened is that I ate steaks and chicken, mostly steaks actually, but I tried chicken also, and bone marrow inside of the bone. So it was this white substance, and it actually tasted really good. And I ate also chicken bone marrow, which was fine.
Remember how he could barely move and lost control over his body because he only drank water and stared at the sun? Well, guess what happened after keeping his new carnivore diet?
For whatever reason, I got this bacteria called Campylobacter enteritis something. I'll write it in the description. And what I actually got was one of the rarest cases where my muscles stopped working, and it took me a month now to actually get fully recovered from it. I couldn't really open the door. I actually talked to a trainer, and she said that many people got completely paralyzed from it, and some people even die from it because it goes in the heart, and the heart is a muscle and makes the heart stop beating.
During the following year, he went back to Sungazing and advocating to eat raw meat. At this time, his channel gained more recognition as he was now starting to show himself eating not only raw, but also rotten meat. If you have a light stomach, I recommend not watching this one.
Alright. It's really hard to describe the taste. It's the finger licking good though.
On his YouTube channel, he also kept talking about various conspiracies and weird opinions, such as esports killing us all, how only slaves eat grain, the Illuminati raping and eating babies, modern medicine, which by the way saved his life 2 times already in the past, being a cruel joke, how cancer actually doesn't kill you but keeps you alive, and how violence is the only answer. The last one is worth looking at a little bit closer, and it gives us a very good impression at his general mindset.
That saying violence is not the answer is such a deception, typical unnatural behavior, because in nature if you want something solved, you go and do it, you remove the problem. It's our instinct, but nowadays we actually go against that. We have these ideas in our head and associate violence with this good and bad deception. We mix it up. If somebody would attack me in nature, I kill them. Problem solved. If I would kill the Illuminati, problem solved. I kill the root problem. That's how we do it in nature.
In other words, Goatis is justifying violence and murder by saying it's natural. Not only is this one of the most common logical fallacies, it's also the easiest way to deal with problems. You just eradicate the problem, right? He doesn't seem to have any continuing thoughts on this, such as what a world would look like in which everyone just goes around killing each other over small problems they might cause. Many of his videos now are just about anti-veganism, which are full of extreme examples and misinformation. And then we have his infamous "How to Fight Naturally." Just look at it yourself, not much explanation needed here.
you would take anything you can to throw, any kind of rock, anything that is hard, and you would just throw it because humans are able to, unlike all the other animals. You could overpower them by simply jumping on them, and they wouldn't even expecting you. If you would put your arms around them and bite them in the neck and just bite a piece out, then you bite them in the nose or bite an ear off, or you just grab the ear and just pull it down, and they will be in so much pain. When they are really in danger, they bite. A lot of women do, because that's our natural instinct. That's how we actually fight in nature. If somebody grabs you and you're on the ground, always grab the balls and just squeeze them very hard. Another thing you would do is gouge the eyes out, and usually you would fight till death in nature. And nowadays people are afraid of the police and...
Again, it's true that being as harmful as possible is effective when fighting, but it has nothing to do with fighting naturally, as many fights in nature are not about killing or getting killed. This is just another example of how Sv3rige takes everything to the extremes. Talking about extremes, have another clip of him eating rotten meat, aka high meat.
Hi guys, my high meat is 1 year old now, so I'm gonna eat it all at once, just for you guys. Smells like acidic mushrooms. I'm gonna eat it all at once. There's too much. I can't even get it all in. Oh, very strong. Not bad. Very strong.
But believe it or not, it doesn't end here. In another video where he talks about the sophisticated question whether salt is healthy or toxic, he explains how we are not supposed to get salt and water directly, but instead we eat meat and drink blood from animals that have eaten plants that have salt and water in them.
We cannot eat salt for the same reason we cannot drink water. It skips the process of nature. It's irrelevant if there's over 80 trace minerals in pink Himalayan salt. We can't do anything with it. Salt and water has to be absorbed by plants, and then we usually end up drinking the blood of the animals who consume them in nature to get to the nutrients.
Oh, and let's not forget about another take he made in the same video actually.
If you do consume salt or water, in both cases you will get dehydrated.
As you can tell, this guy is pretty crazy. So let's fast forward a little bit, because I really can't be bothered looking at hundreds of anti-veganism videos right now. In mid-2017, he uploaded a video titled "Serial Killers Are the Real Heroes", where he talks about superheroes as idols and how they fight against villains, aka the natural, because it's our nature to gain control and power and kill others in our way. He's basically whining about the fact that we have institutions like the police and courts that prevent us from living according to our instincts.
You may not understand this because you grew up as a slave, but the police are Satanists, whose job is to enslave you. Police officers get used to the illusion of power that they have and start beating up and raping their victims, just because there will be little to no consequences for them. It's human nature. Why don't most of us do it? Not because we don't want to, but because we are afraid of the consequences that will be enforced by other humans. It's slavery. The so-called villains want to have total control and kill anybody who's in their way. That's the definition of human nature and exactly what the enlightened ones do. The so-called heroes want to protect society and keep us enslaved.
And to no one's surprise, he goes further than that. Basically saying how the secret elite follows their instincts by raping and killing, drinking blood and eating human organs they get from people that donated the organs to science.
Even though that's what the enlightened ones do, because it's natural and they worship nature. That's the only way to be happy. They have built a perfect system for themselves where they can have human hunting parties, rape and torture dungeons, babies for breakfast, an unlimited supply of blood, which we donate to them without realizing it, and of course organ donations.
Do you think that's it? don't be fooled, he can keep going forever.
When there's a serial killer around, everybody panics and tries to find him or her. These are beings who follow their natural vampire instincts. Maybe they are malnourished, and that's why they break the man-made rules and drink blood and eat humans. We call them cannibals and monsters, but nothing that they do is in any way wrong, because there's no such thing. Nature actually celebrates their actions. Everything is incredibly twisted.
That grin at the end of the clip is very telling. It would make him very happy to kill and eat humans. And because he and some psychopath serial killers enjoy that, it must mean everyone else does as well, right? Well, 2 months later, he provided us with more material of him eating raw meat and drinking animal blood. This really makes me wonder how much of his displays are actually just for show, because it should be clear to anyone that drinking blood will make you throw up. But then again, maybe he just trained himself over the years not to do that? Who knows? Talking about displays. In the same year, he produced his most famous video. In the video, he and some of his friends visit the vegan food festival in Amsterdam in 2018. His goal was to eat a raw veal heart in order to trigger everyone around him and gain attention and reactions that he can then film and show on his channel. The whole video is kinda boring and just shows how they eat meat while various people get triggered by it. A few childish discussions between him and the vegans later, the police sends the whole crew away from the festival. This behavior of confronting vegans continues until this day. Go to a vegan festival or restaurant, be disrespectful to the people around while eating raw meat and record their triggered reactions. So let's take a look at another example where they basically obstruct the business of a vegan restaurant, justifying it by saying some vegans did the same thing in a restaurant that serves meat.
Vegans in November went to a meat eaters restaurant and screamed at them, we're being very nice. Vegans are very pathetic, I can tell you that.
Okay, you go out, go now.
Whoa.
Go out!
Hey,
Go out! Go out now! Go out now! I don't care, you're not in your place, go out now!
Obviously, whining about bad behaviors that others did and then repeating the same bad behavior is just the worst excuse you can come up with.
I was just assaulted by vegans for eating meat.
Did you get that? She
didn't,
kicked me there.
What did she
That's
do?
the police. If the police turn up, I'll get her arrested for that.
Yeah, we should actually.
I did nothing.
You'll
I did
get arrested though.
No, I won't. No, I won't. I've left when they've asked me to
Possibility you'll
leave.
be the one that
Are you
gets
okay?
arrested.
Yeah, I'm fine. No problem. I'm going to get kicked.
Also, note how triggered they become, saying they got assaulted and acting like they are the victims. Victims. That's a pretty good buzzword that leads us to the last part of this video. The alleged stabbing of Sv3rige in a Latvian school when he was 16. The accusations primarily stem from a Latvian article published back in 2006. Here's a badly translated version of the original. The article reports about a student of the Ventspils first gymnasium that viciously attacked 4 of his classmates with knives. According to the article, the attack was inspired by a similar case that happened in the same year in an American school. The attacker goes by the name Goatis and was 16-year-old at the time of the incident. The writer also states that there's camera footage of Goatis walking around the school with 2 knives in his hands, but the video is sadly not public. The name fits, the age fits, and the school is also the same that Sv3rige attended at the time. And I think it's fair to state that after watching many of his videos, the mindset perfectly fits as well. That day, Goatis attacked 4 other pupils with knives. He tried to stab them randomly, hitting one of them in the chest, while others could defend their body by holding up their arms, which prevented life-threatening injuries. The victims were all brought to a hospital, and gladly none of them died. While there is no definite evidence that the Goatis mentioned here really is Sv3rige, there's another article out there that uses the full name Goatis like stings, which is exactly the same name as Sv3rige's. Another hint that points towards him is a YouTube comment allegedly by a former student of the school that recognized the attacker as the person we see in Sv3rige's videos. The last evidence we have is an article by a bigger website that got in contact with the headmistress of the school, who confirmed the allegations as well. But take this with a little grain of salt, but I think we can agree that it wouldn't be too surprising that this Goatis and Sv3rige are the same person. I have one more clip in my back pocket that I will share in a second, but first let's have a quick recap. Goatis has been promoting conspiracies about the New World Order and the Illuminati for a long time. He wants to live as natural as possible, and as part of that he stares at the sun, eats raw meat, drinks blood, thinks it's in our nature to rape and kill people that are in our way, or just for pleasure. He takes all of his ideas to the very extreme, promoting violence, doubting the effectiveness of hospitals and general nutrition advice, and he confronts people about it everywhere, all the time. He also allegedly stabbed 4 classmates with knives when he was 16 and wishes that all of this would be accepted by society. Because we are all brainwashed and misled by the elites, you know? And there's one more thing that I promised to show you. I won't comment on it. So make of it whatever you want and enjoy watching him drink a vial of blood that he was sent by one of his subscribers.
Sorry, maybe I'll talk too much. It's really honest. Thank you, man. Tak. It's like having sex with you, just better. I have you in me.
We have finally made it. We reached the end of the video. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed my work, please leave a like and a subscription. Also leave me a comment and tell me what I can improve in. I will hopefully see you in the next one, and until then, don't be evil.